Okay, I'm going to go live with Max Lally today. I'm just waiting on him to join. I sent him an invite, and we're going to talk about his previous fight and his future going forward. Subclass MMA clash. Okay, Max is unable to join. Okay, I'm not sure if Max is in here. No, it doesn't look like he's in here. Oh, here we go. Accept. All right, here we go with Max.
What's up, man?
Well, well,
Can
how
you?
are you? Good,
Oh, good,
good to
man.
see you.
Audio and everything's okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect.
And can you see me good?
See you good, man. I can see you
Well, I'm
good.
not good looking, but you can see me good. Um, how are you after the weekend, pal? It was an impressive victory.
My body feels good. Bit of a shiner. That's all. That's all. Really, it is. I haven't stopped training or anything like that. I don't feel any kind of aches or pains. Didn't get hit with too many big shots that could have hurt me, if that makes sense. So just a bit
Yeah.
of just I felt a bit of exhaustion on the Sunday. Just refueled properly, and then Monday I was all good. So
It was a hell of a performance. What I found about that fight now, because that was my first event, like I've only started really getting into the regional scene. You're one of the names that came up. Andreas
yeah,
Bindar, obviously, who's gone pro.
yeah.
Your name, because I got in just that you got the gold at the IMF. Can you talk us through that? Because I heard you had to fight 4 times in one day.
Yeah, no, 4 fights in the one day. That was a tough one because basically it isn't like your typical normal proper MMA IMAF tournaments. You have a fight every day, which I think is a lot more manageable. But in the under 18 IMAF MMA, I had 4 fights in the one day. 2 fights going the distance, getting 2 unanimous decisions, won all the rounds, and then the 2 semi-finals and finals. I got 2 submissions. But it's almost a mentality thing, if that makes sense. People say it's tough and it's annoying and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I was over there and I only had one thing on my mind. That was a gold medal. So that's the only thing I cared about. And it didn't matter what way I had to fight or how I had to fight. All I cared about was just getting that gold medal and bringing that back. Just almost envisioning myself beating everyone. And that's what I did. That was probably one of the biggest kind of wins I've had in a very, very long time. And I was really happy to be able to bring the gold home for the country and for the gym with Nace and Charlestown and DCA. It was just because all these people put so much work into me. And then I go out and I compete, and if I win, I'm very happy because that goes back to all the gyms I was training in.
Yeah, no, congratulations on the goal. The 4 fights in one day. What a savage.
Yeah,
That's
nah.
unbelievable. And then I see the Energized boys have joined there as well. I was actually listening to your interview with them. You actually had a broken foot leading up to it as well, and you had to get a shot
Yeah,
in.
exactly. You had to get a card. As a man, had to get a cortisone shot about 5 weeks before it. I was like that, and he was like, "Okay, I want you. You're able." He's like the doctor. I was like, "Right, so I'm gonna go train later." And then you start looking at me, and he's like, "You can't. You can't train for a week. You need to like let it kick in." And I was just like, in my head, I was just like, "Man, I'm fighting for a world title in 4 weeks. Can't fucking do that to myself. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just keep trying on it. And if it hurts, it hurts, I'll deal with it after. And it just kind of got better with the shot in it, didn't it? So it was grand.
So there wasn't much discomfort. The shot actually helped them work
It
leading up.
helped.
Yeah.
It definitely helped. Because before that, it was like, I think how it happened was it got heel hooked and that put a fracture in it. And then I kicked someone in the head. And then I think that's how it completely broke because I felt it. straight away after I kicked someone to the head. Big mallet head. As I threw it up, and it was me foot that caught it, and then I was like, wow, this doesn't feel right. And then every time I'd walk around on it for a long amount of time when I'd be in school or anything like that, it would just swell up like a balloon. And it was like, wow, how am I going to do this? So I had to start looking into getting cortisone shots and everything like that. I was going to try avoid, I did, like, they were suggesting a surgery and shit. And I was like, fuck surgeries. I'm too young for that. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to be out for
Yeah.
weeks at a time. So they graded it. So basically there's like different grades and breaks and stuff. But if it's a grade 3 break, you have to get an operation on my foot. I had to get, but it was only a grade 2. So the cortisone shot fixed it right up, and it's felt great ever since. I haven't had any problems with it. So
Yeah,
worked
that was
out
actually
perfectly.
that was
Yeah,
my next question. Like, did it affect you after? So then
go on.
continue. Then it was an All Ireland final. You won. I think it was a very quick submission, wasn't it? First minute and a half.
A minute and a
Was that?
half. It was like a nice. It's like a nice flying armbar setup that I have from having me back against the couch. But I just felt like I had it drilled enough, and I had the confidence to hit it, in competition. And I just threw it up, and I caught it very nice. I caught it like belly down. Anyone that does jiu-jitsu or MMA knows a belly down armbar is horrific to try to get out of. And I got the tap. When I got the tap, I was like, fuck, I just won. You know what I mean? It didn't. It took me about 15 minutes to process that I actually won. It's the same thing every time I fight. It takes me about 15, 20 minutes to process. You're actually after winning here, Max. You know what I mean? Because it takes me so long to get my adrenaline levels down and everything like that. It's a mad hell feeling. So it's like I have to
Nice.
kind of settle down and be like, Max, you're after winning here. And then I'm like, fuck, I just won. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I can. I've never fought, but I can only imagine. It was like the other night as well. I want to say when you were fighting, you came just after the controversial kick. Obviously, that happened.
Yeah.
Um, and you came, but there was just a change in the atmosphere in
Oh,
there.
yeah.
There was no crowd. But for me, and this is no disrespect to the guys that went on after, because they deserve to be in the spots they're in, like Lewis
Yeah.
and Jordan and Maga and thing. It felt like
Definitely, yeah.
you could have been a main event as well with the support and everything. It was just the place was
100%.
absolutely rocking, man.
And that's what I like to do when I fight. I like to create that atmosphere. Everyone knows that I'm an exciting fighter and that I like making it entertaining for everyone. Like, it's just, I'm a fighter. I want to win. But at the same time, I want to entertain. I want to make it exciting for everyone. I want everyone to get their money's worth. So when anyone ever like pays for a pay-per-view to watch me fight, they never say, oh, that was a waste of 10 quid. They'll always
Yeah,
say, fuck me, Max, that was some fight. But even just in that fight, that fight more for me was to just experience. It's just, I feel like that's what is letting me down at the moment. Just experience, just being in certain positions, and the only way I can improve on those positions is actually being in them in a fight. Makes sense. So I feel like that
yeah,
fight was definitely a really good experience fight. People questioned me cardio, what happens if Max can't take them down in the first few seconds, everything like that. And they seen what could happen. In that entire fight, I was actually never in any danger. I never got taken down. I got cracked with one shot, which is a nice rear left uppercut he caught me with. That's how he caught me with the black eye. Apart from that, I didn't feel in any sort of danger. And I felt like I definitely won 3 rounds without a doubt. I was hitting the more damage. I had him in more danger than he had me in all the rounds. I took him down across all 3 rounds, even though he stood back up. I was hitting him big knees, big shoulder shots. I dropped him in the fourth round as well. And I feel like that it's like people kind of sometimes don't understand how MMA is scored. It's scored on danger and damage, how much you damage them, and then how much danger you actually have them in. If you get someone against the cage and just hold them there and not take them down, the judges ain't gonna score that fairly well. You know what I mean? But
yeah. I was.
when I'm in
Oh,
there,
sorry,
I'm
go
just
on.
trying. No, no, but when I'm in there, I'm trying to finish and I'm trying to do damage, and that's simple as. I don't believe in that kind of taking someone down, grinding them out. If I take you down, I'm trying to box the face off you or pass your guard and submit you. You know what I mean? There's none of that kind of stalling stuff with me. Anyway, that's just my
Yeah,
style.
because I was listening to with your father yesterday as well, and you were saying if you're on top of someone, but they're striking you from the bottom, it's going to get scored from the. If you're doing damage from the bottom, it's all about the damage more
100%.
so.
Definitely. No, it's about the work. You know what I mean? If you grab someone and hold them against the cage and you don't do anything, and I'm hitting big knees, big shoulder shots, big punches, you know what I mean? They're going to score way more than just holding someone against the cage, you know? And whenever I get someone against the cage, I try to pick them up and drop them on the blade and score. That's just my kind of style, you know? I just find it way more entertaining in that way, you know? But it's really, I just love it. You know what I mean? Simple as. Just there's no feeling like it. I think that if Cage Legacy, I'm fighting on IUR November 22nd, pending on injuries and how my body feels, I'll be on that December card in Cage Legacy, and I'll 100% be fucking main event for it, and I'll have the place on wheels if there's a crowd, like, you know, because I in Ashbourne, everyone wants to see me fight, and I feel like across the MMA community, a lot of people want to see me fight as well, you know. But I'm just looking. I'm enjoying the journey. That's the most important thing, isn't it? Just enjoying everything.
Yeah, that's with anything in life. Once you enjoy what you're doing, you enjoy what you're doing. Uh,
Exactly.
like it was a really good performance. And one of my favorite parts, obviously, I sent you the clip, is when that
Yeah.
slam, the roar you let out before the slam as well. It was unreal.
Tell you what it
Um,
was. I seen one of my dad's mates, John Matthews, right? And I haven't seen John in a while, but me and him we'd be very like close, you know what I mean? And I seen him, and he must have been on the whiskies or something because he was gargled, and I seen him, and I was like, so I picked your man up. I was like, get up the fuck, and got him on my shoulder, and I ran to seeing him, and I was like, yes, when I did it, and
oh,
it was just hilarious. But you know, in fairness to your man Andrew, he's a solid fella. He's a tough fighter. You know, he's experienced, and he didn't in the entirety of the fight. I feel like if that was majority of other people, they would have given up at a certain point, and he always kept bringing it. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I'll always respect anyone that gets in there and fights. It's a big thing. It's not an easy thing to do. Even just as amateur, a lot of sacrifice goes in it with training, weight cut, everything like that, and we go in there putting it all on the line. You know, just to try see who the better fighter is. I want to fight all the best people in Ireland, all the best people in the UK, and then hopefully all the best people in the world at some stage.
I'm quite sure you will. The amateur level at this in Ireland, I've noticed since I've started watching, which isn't too long, seems to be fairly high. You're all start. I believe you started at like 10 or 11, something like
Yeah,
that. There's
I didn't.
also
So
so it's
I've
all
only,
high.
yeah, no, it's
Sorry.
high. It's all good. I've only did jiu-jitsu since I'm 11. No, I think I was 8 starting jiu-jitsu and I was 12 starting wrestling. And I've only actually transitioned into MMA the past year since January of this year. I only transitioned in, so still loads of stuff to work on. I think the MMA grappling, and it's such a difference, such a big difference. Um, Even the MMA striking into the exchanges, into the wrestling, it's huge difference as well. It's just all about improving on them things, I think. For me, the biggest thing is just getting better and keep trying, just improving myself everywhere I possibly can. I'm only striking as well since January down in DCA and then with Roddy as well. So I was happy I was able to showcase a bit of me striking. I feel like that I can stand with people and that I can trade. You know, I'm not scared of that. I'm in no rush to get it to the floor. You know, it's just I feel like the whole point in MMA is just to try to feel comfortable everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, everyone's more rounded nowadays, whereas years ago you'd have one type of fighter
Exactly.
like a wrestler, jiu-jitsu. Now it's all more well rounded. So
Yeah,
like
exactly.
your transition is quite good. If you've only started this since January and this is the level you're at now, I can only imagine in 1, 2 years time where you're gonna
Yeah.
go. But
No, definitely. It's just the transition because I'll tell you from, and I'll be 100% honest. When I first started the transition to MMA, I was like, "Oh fuck this!" I was just getting killed because it's you're just wrestling and jiu-jitsu is a high level, but it's just not the same. You know, it is just not the same. The MMA grappling, MMA wrestling to just normal traditional grappling and wrestling. That took me at least 5 months to properly transition into and to kind of get used to it. And once I did do that, I obviously started having a lot more success in spar and everything. But there was a solid 5 months there of me getting smashed up, and people don't see that, but that's the God honest truth. I was getting beat by everyone. getting beat by people who I'm definitely a better grappler than, but because they had more experience in MMA grappling, they were getting the better of me in certain transitions and stuff like that. So it was just about me putting all the work in and just kind of getting used to it. Once I did get used to it, obviously, I started having a lot more success. But even at that, I'm not even a full year into it, so I have so much stuff to work on. And people don't see that. People are like, oh, obviously I am a high level grappler and a high level wrestler, but only some of that translates in. A lot of it translates into like a lot of it you have to kind of translate in yourself, and then the other parts just are like unnecessary. Like it's important that you know them for the MMA wrestling. That's with takedowns, strikes, defense, offense, and everything like that.
Yeah, you're one thing I noticed as well. You done 3 3 minute rounds. You looked
Yeah,
fresh by the end. You looked like you could have just kept.
that's yeah.
You,
It's like three minutes for me. It's too short. I say it all the time. It's too short. I fucking I much prefer it was 3 5s, or even people think I wouldn't be 5 5s would suit me way better. I think 3 3s. It's just such a short amount of time to work. But if it makes sense, I know I can put a pace on for 9 minutes that people can't keep up with. It's just me cardio. Sometimes people definitely might be a bit technically better than me. That's no problem. I know that I can take them into deep waters, make them extremely tired, and make them work for 9 minutes. Like it's just a cardio. I'm with doing. I do serious cardio work every weekend. Every day I do. On a Friday I do 10 2 minute wrestling rounds. On a Saturday I do a serious strongman session, and I'll do jiu-jitsu after it. It's just I think cardio is definitely one of my strongest points, like in my whole arsenal. And people don't usually get to see it, but people are after getting to see it there, you know. So that's one thing I'm happy about. I feel like I could have finished Andrew a few times. Definitely when I dropped him, I jumped into the kind of grappling exchange when I shouldn't have. I thought I should have just stepped off and start banging shots. I feel like if I did do that, I had him hurt enough to finish him. But that's just all experience, though. That's just the inexperience. But that's all going to come, so I'm not really worried.
yeah, your fight IQ will go as you come along. And there was something interesting you said with your father, and it was you were talking about amateur levels. When people get a loss at amateur level, they need to use it as it like a lot of people think it's the end of the world when they get a loss. If you get a loss, I can see you learning from it and using it because I think you have to get a loss at some stage.
Definitely. Well, It's not going to be a proper amateur career if you don't lose. You know, I'm waiting to lose. You know what I mean? And I'm God honest truth, I am. I'm waiting to lose because if I lose, it's going to be from something, and that something can be altered and can be changed to reduce me losing in the future. So right now, I have a few improvements to make off in that fight, but I have nothing in my game that has actually made me lost yet. So in the future, if someone beats me, I guess we're going to find out what that something is. But right now, we don't know. So just taking all the fights I possibly can and just waiting for that person to beat me. And once they do, the improvements will be made.
No, that's good. Someone asked a question. I'm going to get to it now, and then we'll move on because I want to talk to you about the IRU tournaments, which is
Yeah,
quite
yeah, no problem.
interesting. Someone asked a question. Any advice for novice or beginners BJJ? I think it's back there further. I seen it come up.
Oh, so best advice I'd give is to train as much as possible and to try compete as regularly as possible as well. I think the training is good, but going out there in competition, it deals with a lot of nerves. And I promise you now, if you ever go out and compete, win, lose, or draw, you'll never regret it. Like ever, you'll never regret doing a competition at all, because the only thing it's gonna do is do the same thing as I am talking about. It's gonna expose something that needs to be worked on, and that can be worked on, and it makes you a better jiu-jitsu fighter or an MMA fighter.
Good. So hopefully that answers the question for whoever asked it. So going forward, we've got IRU the 21st November, and we've
Yep.
got a four-man lightweight tournament, which is kind of unique. You don't really see them that much anymore. You don't see obviously with the
No.
IMS, but kind of like in a show kind of a level, in a promotion kind of level, you don't see them. So I'm looking forward to that. I know you can't give any names away. I think I know one of the names anyways because I've been talking to him. How are you prepared for that? Sure, it'll only be a half day for you if it's only two as opposed to four.
Yeah. So two fights hopefully. I'll be fighting Magas or Buff. He fought one of my mates, Dennis Fringpon. And it's going to be a good fight. I know it's a big weight cut for him, but I feel like I'll definitely be more fresh going in there when it comes to cardio. We'll see how he's able to handle it. We'll see if he's able to handle me coming forward because I know he's a very aggressive fighter. I'm a very aggressive fighter, and we'll just see who gets the better of each other. It's that lightweight, so lightweight, there's a 4 pound, so it's 70.8. I know he walks around at about 82, 83. So that's a big weight cut. That's like a 12 kilo weight cut, So we'll see how he gets on. If he makes the weight though, it's a big weight cut. I don't know if that'd personally be good for him. He's big enough at welterweight as it is, So we'll just see how he gets on. I'm looking forward to the fight. I'll be prepared anyway. I'll be on weight. I'll be ready to go. Anyone they put in front of me, I'll never turn down any sort of competition or fight whatsoever. And this is actually for the lightweight title on IUR as well. So lightweight is a perfect weight for me. It's not too big. I only cut about 6-7 kilos for it. So lightweight is a perfect weight for me. I never feel too exhausted at the weight or anything like that. But I'm just looking forward to it. Mag is a big name. I feel like if I take him out, that'll be a huge name. So
Yeah, Mag is a big dude. He's a nice dude. He's an extremely nice dude as well from
oh
talking to
yeah,
him.
no, definitely, no,
Um,
he's respectful and everything like that.
yeah,
100%.
as of everyone. You were saying about the weight, so because you fought at welterweight, I believe in the IMF, and then now you're a super lightweight and this will be a lightweight. Do you like to stay? Do you like to fight closer to what your walk around weight is, so you don't have to cut so much? Is the weight is a weight? I haven't done a weight cut personally. I can only imagine. I've seen what hell it looks like.
Yeah, so actually, I have a very, very easy weight cut, like a very easy weight cut. I don't have to kill myself to get to 70 kilos at all. The reason I fought 77 kilo at the IMAFs was because I just wanted to challenge myself. Like in my opinion, I'd be a big 70 kilo because I don't have to cut that much weight to get to 70. But it was same day weigh-ins and everything like that, so it was just unsure. So I was like, you know what, I'll just fight at the heavier weight. But these guys had sweatsuits and everything on them. I was definitely one of the smallest. I think me and your man Jordan were definitely one of the smallest. That's Jordan I fought in the final. But you could see the pure technique of the both of us. We're the ones that got through everyone, because we're just technically the better fighters. I think technically, if you're a better fighter, you're always going to beat whoever it is that they put in front of you. I'm a real big thing on that. I feel like that. I don't know if I'd fight welterweight now because I'd be a very small welterweight. You know what I mean? I walk around that 170, so it wouldn't even be a weight cut for me. I find that people that fight welterweight, they're probably cut down from the mid-80s. But I'll fight anyone super lightweight. I'll fight anyone at lightweight. It doesn't really matter to me. It's just all about getting experience, isn't it? All about fighting the best people I possibly can. So that's what it's all about
Yeah,
for me.
you're getting thrown into the big names, anyways, for your first three fights at amateur.
Yeah.
Like at 18 years of age, like how long do you plan on staying at amateur? Like, are you going to just
So
get as many fights as you can?
many fights I can in the next 2 years, realistically. I'll probably go pro when I'm about 20 because I'll go pro so young because I'll be doing the sport so long. I'll be doing wrestling and jiu-jitsu so long. Eventually that's going to take a toll on my body. And I would rather it not take a toll in my body in my amateur career. So I'll know myself, but realistically, I'll go pro about 2021. Before I go pro, I want to have about 15 amateur MMA fights.
No, that's good. That's a lot of fights, and like you said, hopefully there's going to be wins and some losses then you can learn
Yeah,
from.
100%.
So, like you've got IRU, and then you're saying you might want a quick turnaround then for December
Yep.
for Cage Legacy, which would be is it going to be in the same location, the Fila
Same
Hotel?
location, Pillow Hotel. That's just all depending if I'm injured or not. If I don't, because if it was one fight, I'd definitely confirm it. But because it's two fights, I can't make any promise. Two fights is different, you know.
Yeah.
Anything can happen in a MMA fight. You know that, and I know that because it's just an unpredictable sport. So for whatever reason, I don't want to promise some person that I am going to fight them, and then them to train their bollocks off, them to get their weight down, everything like that, and then for me to say I actually can't fight you, I'm injured. Makes sense. I just don't think it's fair on my
Yeah.
opponent, for whoever it is. So what I'll do is IUR, I'll let that go now about 5 days after IUR, how my body's feeling, how I'm feeling. I'll sit down with my coaches, assess the situation, and if they give me the thumbs up, I'll go out and I'll fight.
Yeah, especially with you being a big name, if your opponent got to fight you and then they're looking forward to fighting you and then you have to pull out, it'd
Exactly.
be
It'd be a bit,
disappointing
bit
for
of a
them.
letdown for them. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be pulling out of fights and everything like that. Because I'm a man of my word. If I say I'm going to fight someone, I'm going to fight someone. That's it. That's the end of it.
Yeah, I was actually sitting in the corner beside Owen and Sergey for your fight. And I was just listening to them and then watching you, how it like what they said, how you actually worked it out. I knew the corner played a big part with a crowd, okay? Because you've obviously fought with a crowd. Was I or you a crowd?
Yeah, a bit of a crowd. I had a few of my mates down there.
Okay. How hard or like, can you tell, uh, can you hear those voices clearly? Do they stand out among the crowd or is it hard to hear your corner when you do have a crowd?
No, I hear everything crystal clear. I get myself into a kill zone mindset where I just want to try kill my opponent. And in that mindset, I can't hear anything apart from my coaches. It's every instructor. Owen and Sergey give the clearest instruction ever. I know exactly what to do when they tell me to do it. Um, but I think that was the first time that I know it was funny me, but I shouldn't have talked as much as I did in the cage, if that makes sense. I feel a lot of that was nervous energy that I haven't experienced before. But if I was, I'd still do the same thing. I'd still have a bit of a laugh in there, everything like that. But I just wouldn't talk as much because I need to keep that kind of energy. Everything, even when I'm speaking in there and he was like hitting me and I'd be like, that's nothing and everything like that. That's energy, you know what I mean? And even after me saying stuff like that, it's like you don't see a whole lot of people after 2 rounds and then in the third round, you don't see people doing shit like, oh, you picking them up and fucking running across them with the cage. And you don't see stuff like that. So I just try to make it unique, but at the same time, it's very important that I have that mindset where I can hear instruction clearly. Because if I can't hear instruction, I'm not the fighter I am. I make mistakes if I can't hear my coaches.
Yeah, just even me listening to them, I like I said, I haven't fought or anything, but just me listening to them and just the little details like is absolutely amazing. How they were able to pick out and like move your leg here, move your leg there, do this, do
Yeah,
that for all, and that was for all the corners across the night. Like I felt like just sitting there, I learned a lot. Um, with Andrew as well, when you were hitting him and saying stuff to him, what was his reaction? Was he like, "What the fuck's going on here?" Or was he because he
I
did keep coming?
he did keep coming, but he just never said that back to me. Um, I know he was saying a bit of stuff and saying that he's gonna beat me technically and all in the fight and stuff like that. That never got to me mentally, but I wanted to let him know who he was in there with. You know what I mean? I wanted him to let him know that this isn't an easy fight for anyone. You know, I'm not an easy fight for anyone. Win, lose, or draw, I'll go in there and I'll make that a hard fucking fight for anyone. I know that for a fact. I can put my heart on that. But I just wanted to let him know who he was in there with. Um, we had some corner and Kieran Davern. I like all the lads out with Tullamore because every time I fought any of the lads, they're always game ball and they always bring it. You know what I mean? They never say no to a challenge. So on that part, I'll always respect them, even with all the saying all that shit in the cage and everything like that. They know it means nothing. I know it means nothing. It's just pure entertainment, isn't it? It's just making
Yeah,
everyone excited for the fight.
yeah, I like the face off on the Energize show was quite fun, and it was the two
Yeah,
of you going back and forth. But like I said, at the end of it, and you said this with your father yesterday as well, the respect thing is everyone has respect at the end of the day, and that's what I love about MMA is no matter what happens, there's a huge show of respect because the two of you are in there trying
yeah,
to beat each other for
100%.
9 minutes, and then just the respect shown is amazing.
100%. No, definitely. Respect is such a big thing for me. I think respect goes a long way in this sport as well because at the end of the day, what's going to happen if you disrespect? It's like I know me and Andrew are talking shit to each other or not, but if you ever take away from our that, not one of us we never put each other down. Makes sense, and I think that's the biggest thing. I'll never put someone down when I'm talking shit to them or anything like that. I'll never try and belittle them or anything like that. It's just because that's the respectful side of me. I'll always respect my opponent because getting in the cage is a skill in itself. You can't just get in there. It takes a lot of balls. It takes a lot of a lot of courage to get in there. So Any person that gets in the cage, I'll always respect them, whether whoever it is. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I noticed that there was no put down, was nothing personal, which is good. I like to see when it's like obviously there is the people that go personal on the bigger stages, but
Yeah,
I think sometimes people go too far. Whereas if you keep it just about the fight, it's just about the fight. You don't want to be
exactly.
going at anyone's character because at the end of the day, like you said, the people who are getting in there have bigger balls than most of us watching that won't do it. And then it's
100%.
usually and then it's usually the people that are just watching that criticize most people. I never criticize. Whenever I'm doing this, I try and stay down the middle and look at both fighters' strengths. I gave everyone props, everyone that lost as well, because
Yeah.
I wasn't in there. They all were, and like if it wasn't for the two people in the fight would never have been made. So respect to everybody.
No, definitely, definitely. It's two people make a fight, not one person, you know? So that's the most important thing people take away from that. I just don't like critics like that that don't actually um who will be very quick to criticise but won't take an opportunity to understand both sides of the opponent. You see it a lot, not in just MMA, but just in sports altogether. You see it in football, you see it in rugby, you see it in all sorts of sports. But it's you only have an understanding of it when you're actually in there, or if you're actually playing, or you're fighting, or anything like that. So it's just always important that you don't just jump and you don't criticise straight away. Take a little bit of time to just observe. I'd be an observer. I observe like very hard before I make any sort of comments on anything. But it's good to have the likes of you because you're definitely a non-biased figure. You look both sides. That's what's most important. You know, there's no point in everyone congratulating me and then it's like Andrew doesn't get a whole lot of props, but he's the one that made the fight as well. You know, that's the most important thing to take away from it. Two people make a fight, not one.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's why it's straight away I put up the picture, or the day after I put a picture of Maga, Andrew, and Jordan.
Jordan, yeah,
Because like at the end of the day, two fights and they're going to be back. It's only amateurs. It's going to be back. We need to support everyone. So when you you go out into your pro, that we all support each other because you're going to come across
100%.
each other. You're like Ireland's such a small country. You're all going to come. You're
It's
all
like
going to fight each other at one stage.
it's like I'm walking around that pillow hotel and I'm looking at about three or four people that will fight, and then I will fight, but I'm still saying hi to them. I'm still talking to them. I'm not avoiding them or anything like that. As I said it before, we're all gonna fight each other now. We're all gonna make each other better fighters, and then when we get to the big stage, we're all gonna improve each other and make each other better. I think that's the most important thing. Everyone needs to, understand that. Everyone needs to know that it's it's not just it's not just like it's not the biggest thing in the world, amateur. You know what I mean? I see people like taking time off when they lose and stuff like that. It should be like a game of football. You know what I mean? It should be straight in there and making all sort of improvements, not taking anything to heart. It's maybe pro we decide to do that and you'll lose to the finer details of things, but now on amateur this is going to expose us to the big things that we need to work on. So it's just more important to focus on them bigger things, and then of course when you go pro you got to focus on the smaller things.
Yeah, no, you've got some good advice for an 18-year-old. You're very grounded, very humble,
Yeah.
and like I would think at 18, if I was in position you're in, I'd be a bit louder. But then again, it's obviously I've seen the way your father is, obviously, so he's very calm. Someone asked a question there about your little bro. Is he going to follow in your footsteps, do you think?
Hopefully he does. He just needs to keep training hard and just keep wrestling and keep doing what he's doing. He's doing a lot of training at the moment. I'm very proud of him. He wanted to do the cadet IMAFs this year. I don't think he's ready to do them yet, so I told him not to do them. Maybe next year, if he continues to do the training that he's doing, I'll give him the thumbs up to go ahead and do it. But he's only been training. He did a bit of jiu-jitsu beforehand, but he's only been probably training the past 6 months, and he's been doing a few competitions and stuff. He went over to the Europeans in jiu-jitsu, and he got a bronze medal. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets on, definitely. And I'm always going to be there to support him as well because he's my little bro. So
How old is he, if you don't mind me asking?
he's only 12. So
Oh, he's only 12, so in
yeah,
about 6 years I'll be talking to him like this.
that's it.
Oh,
Hopefully we both
hopefully.
get to the UFC.
Hopefully. Actually, speaking of the UFC, the Energize have just asked, are you looking forward to Ian Gary in the UFC?
Oh,
Oh,
definitely, definitely. fella's made waves, the Cage Warriors. I think he took the perfect approach to get to the UFC. If I ever go pro, I'll be taking the exact same approach as him. I won't want to fight in Bellator or Brave. It's just the UFC is the only place I want to go. So I say on that part, me and Ian would definitely have the same mindset. I don't really know Ian. I've never spoken to him ever, but he seems like a nice, well-rounded guy. Moved over to I think it's over in Florida. I can't remember the name of the gym.
Is it Extreme Couture? No.
No, it's S. It starts with an S. I know that, but it's a good gym. Robbie Lawler, Michael Chandler. He's training with loads of UFC
Yeah.
fighters, and I say he's getting good rounds in, and he's good bodies. Sanford, I think it's Sanford. I think that's what it is. But
Oh,
it's a
I
good
think it
gym.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is Sanford MMA. Yeah. So
Yeah, Sanford.
but
Thanks,
he's a
Energize.
yeah, he's a lovely guy. He seems really nice. I don't know, but as I said, I'll always get behind an Irishman, no matter who they are. Even if I don't know them, even if I don't like them, I'll still get behind them because what else? What else? We're a country, you know what I mean? I don't like the way even Connor. I see Connor getting a lot of criticism. It's like I know he's probably not doing right things. People probably doesn't get the right type of publicity all the time. But at the end of the day, he's Irish and he puts our country on the map. And every time he goes out and fights, he puts it all on the line. So for that, you have to love him. You have to respect him. You can't hate him for that, you know? It's just I'll always get behind Ireland as a country. I love Ireland. I'm an Irishman and I'm proud to be an Irishman.
Yeah, no, and that's fair enough. We all do. I do a podcast with an English guy. We talk more about UFC and stuff like that. And he said, "What is it about Conor McGregor?" I said, "It's not Conor McGregor." I said, "You look at Katie Taylor. You look at what was his name, Bernard, the fighter years ago. You look at everyone. When someone in Ireland makes it, the whole country gets behind them, and that just seems to be the difference. And that's what I love about this country. I've
Yeah.
had people come and say, the country, the weather is shite, the roads are shite, but it's the people
The
that are
people.
warm."
It's
Yeah.
the people that make the country. That's the thing. Doesn't matter if we have the nicest weather in the world, the nicest sights in the world, the nicest anything like Bernard done. You're energized.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what was burnt on.
all the facts. But it's the people that make a country, you know. Even us getting behind our Olympians, everything like that. That's what makes Ireland. That's what makes Ireland Ireland. That's what makes a country a country. It's the people. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what's in there. It's the people that are there.
Yeah, no, and I love it. One thing I wanted to ask you as well is I've noticed you have a management company. Would that be normal for amateur, or would that be more towards going pro?
It's I thought it'd probably be a bit more pro orientated, but Paul Fogarty, I know Paul very well, and basically what happened was he seen me making the transition, and Paul obviously seen something in me that not a whole lot of people would have seen, and that's why I have my loyalties will always lie with One Hit Management, even when I get to the highest level. My loyalties will always stay there because he's seen something in me when maybe not a whole lot of people would have seen me, you know. And people are starting to see me now, and I'm getting a load of messages and stuff like that. But it's always your foundations are the people you stick with. Even me striking coach, Roddy, Collie Mahon, Sergey, Owen, all my training partners, my loyalties will always stand and stay with them because they seen something in me when no one really did. Make sense? So
Yeah,
Paul would help me a lot with fights. He'd help me a lot with me scheduling stuff and everything like that. With fights, he gives me non-biased advice. And he helps me with sponsorship and he helps me with social media. He's just a help on my journey. Because I'm only 18, I don't know everything. So sometimes you need a bit of guidance. Get guidance off him, my dad, my coaches, my training partners, you know. It's just about almost being like a sponge and just soaking everything up and just listening to other people, listening to other opinions, you know. Because I find if you just listen to yourself all the time, what you're learning, you know.
yeah, exactly. Especially, and then Paul's been there, done that. He knows the route to go. He's got some heavy hitters as well in one
Oh
management.
yeah, no, we have Sinead now
Yeah,
fighting Cyborg for the Bellator featherweight title. Can't wait for that. I think
yeah,
Sinead is definitely capable of causing a huge upset. We have Jerry Harris as well. He's waiting to do his making his pro debut at flyweight soon. Hopefully, Kurta as well. He's getting hopefully get a flyweight pro fight soon as well. Getting to the UFC. Sarah Elliott Sheridan, another animal coming up. Andreas, we just a good team. And if with one hit, everyone's with everyone. Everyone gets behind each other. It's like a little family, and I'm just happy to be with that family.
No, that's good. There is heavy hitters and some big fights coming up with those fighters, like I said, Sinead. Brian's also with you, isn't he, Brian
Brian,
Moore?
yeah, Brian, he's fighting in Russia now.
Yeah,
I can't
Brian's.
wait for that one. 3-0
Brian's.
since he's went bantamweight. He's an animal. He's an
animal. You look at his record, he is better than his record would suggest. Like, his record's not bad, but like, I think, like, he's class.
Tell you why his record's like that, because he's never said no to anyone. And you have to respect that. Yeah, even with Artem, if you ever look at Artem's record, everyone's saying it's a shite record. In my opinion, it's not, because he doesn't say no to anyone. I think nowadays, people, obviously, they had the record a bit, and they'll hand select fights sometimes. The likes of Brian and Artem never selected anything. Old school, straight in, I'll fight anyone. That's the way to be. I think that Brian is he's a credit, I think. I love Brian. He's such a nice guy. And he's definitely capable of stopping. I don't know the name of the Russian fella he's fighting, but he's definitely capable of stopping him. 100%.
Yeah. The fight I watched recently, because I done a little video for him as well, was the AJ McKee one. He was actually, I thought he was winning AJ McKee.
I was live at that. He was battering AJ McKee, and what happened was, not a lot of people see it. You actually see him slip and a bit of blood coming out of AJ's face. If you ever look back at the video, he actually slips and he gets caught. I think it was the guillotine he got caught with, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. He gets at start third round, doesn't it?
Yeah. And he just slipped and got caught. And that's MMA. That's the unpredictability of it, You can't make that shit up, Shit like that happens. And I could only imagine how frustrated he was, because on the feet he was taking Brian apart. And that was at featherweight, Brian he wouldn't be a big featherweight, he'd be a small enough featherweight. But you see him at bantamweight now, he looks so good. He looks so sharp. He's 3-0 since he's went bantamweight. He just looks so sharp at that weight.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to see him. I thought he was winning that fight until that happened. And I just want to come back to something you talk about, the records, the way Brian will fight anyone. Do you find now it's creeping into MMA the same way it does with boxing? Do you know, in boxing, if you have a loss on your record, you're considered you're not that you're not good. But I think that needs to be done away with in boxing, especially because, the best will never fight the best in that case. Do you think that's starting to creep into MMA now, where people want to pick and choose? They want these perfect records.
Yep, that's it. That's the way I think. I think there's two types of fighters. There's them fighters who don't care and will fight anyone, and then there's the other hand-selected ones. But if you ever notice, sometimes the people who hand-select their fights have more success because they look better on paper. Makes sense?
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. It's like they actually have more success. Because they look better on paper. I think is it something that I want to do now, but if I ever do go pro, I'll definitely fight the best on Cage Warriors when I get into Cage Warriors, because that's the probably route I'd like to go, Cage Warriors into the UFC. I think in Cage Warriors, it's all the best lightweights in the UK and Europe. There's no nothing, no hiding waiting people. But when you get to that level, it's almost like it's done. It doesn't matter who you are. I think once you can sell fights and you can be entertaining, you get to do what the fuck you want. Like Paddy Pimblett, what he's after doing. He's after, in his UFC debut, got a knockout in the first round in his UFC debut. He gets to pick now. He gets to do what he wants because he's making it. If he was to go in there and maybe get a decision win, let's just say, it wouldn't be like that. Then it'd be like, right, you're fighting this fella. You wouldn't get a say. So it's just, it depends if you get to the position or not, in my opinion. If you have the luxury of picking who you want, pick who you want. If you don't, you just need to get to that level where you can't pick who you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he came in with a splash as well, because he had said he previously was offered the UFC and he didn't take it because he didn't feel he was ready. Yeah. Which is good. And your route is good as well. Cage Wars is the step to the UFC, because if you go to Brave or Bellator, you don't really see them moving on to the UFC.
I think the only brave fighter I've ever seen go to the UFC was Kazma Kimachev, Ratlip, the fellow with the, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
I've only
yeah,
ever seen him. That's the only one I can name off the top of my head. And then from Bellator, obviously Eddie Alvarez, Michael Chandler. But you don't get that too often. I want to be in the UFC. I don't want to be with Brave, and I don't want to be with Bellator. I want to be in the UFC. That's the only promotion that I want to fight for. And if I have to stay in Cage Warriors for a few years and get shit pay, well, I don't care because I love what I'm fucking doing. So I'll suffer for a few years if that makes it, making it to the big stage like one day, you know.
yeah. I have a feeling it won't be as long as you might think it'd be. I think if you keep going, like I said, you're gonna have to get one or two losses along the way to learn. But I think honestly, you're in for big things. I gotta go. I have to go do something.
Yeah, no
But
problem.
thank you so much for today. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you. You're so humble, so nice, and thank you for supporting me in what I'm doing. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. I'll always respect what you're doing because it's putting MMA out there. And I think in this country, MMA needs to do that. So thank you for making
No problem.
amateur fighters like me be more out there. I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's my plan going forward is to try and get more and more as much as I can. Obviously, I work as well, so doing this is trying to schedule everything around is tough. But I'm doing it for you because you don't get the coverage you deserve. There's a stigma sometimes in Ireland in the media on MMA, which I think needs to be got rid of. Like, I'm doing this for you, so thank you. You do if you keep doing what you're doing, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Perfect. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate the chat.
Perfect, thank you,
Well
and I'll
done.
talk
Take
to you
care.
soon. Talk to you later. Bye bye.